Hey golfers, if you're a player who struggles to hit the ball solid, specifically out of tight lies in the fairway, this video is for you. Today I'm going to introduce a concept that many of you may have heard of. It's called low point, okay? So when we make a swing, our club goes up and then it comes back down and it hits the ball and it goes back up again. I'm just going to, for simplicity's sake, I'm going to call, when our golf club gets down and strikes the ground, I'm going to call that our low point. Now I know there might be a swing that you make and you don't hit any ground at all. That swing still had a low point, it just wasn't low enough to the earth to hit the ball, but it still did have a lowest point. Now, why is this important? Well, when we make a swing, or specifically when a really good player makes a swing, they position the club to hit the ball and then the ground slightly after. We're talking a couple inches after the ball. That allows them to take a little divot if they want, but more importantly, it allows the golf club to meet the golf ball at maximum speed, compress it, hit it really far, hit it really solid. That feeling that we all love when we flush it, right? Now, players that struggle a little bit more, maybe higher handicap golfers, what they do is they struggle to get that low point in front of the ball, and sometimes it's even behind the ball, as demonstrated by this stick. So what that means is that when they come through, the lowest point of their swing is behind the ball. Now, if they were to take dirt here, take a divot, they would chunk the ball, 10 yards. So what they probably have learned to do over time is to not take a divot at all and kind of blade the ball, top the ball frequently, and they really enjoy when that ball is popped up on that intermediate cut of grass because they can kind of slide underneath it. So what are some reasons golfers struggle with this, and what could you maybe look for in your swing to improve your quality of strike and your low point? Well, I'm going to highlight two things that I see amateur golfers do all the time that really make them struggle, okay? I'm going to use this yellow line as a demonstration of where the low point is sort of programmed in, and I'm going to go ahead and put the golf ball right behind that, okay? So the first thing I'm going to say is the center of mass movement, or basically where you position your body throughout your swing, has a large influence on where you're going to strike the ground. For example, if I were to take a golfer and have him move his hips and his chest away from the target significantly, well, that's going to program in that low point to be further back, okay? If I make a big move off the ball, well, now you can see it would be very easy for me to hit clear back here. Now, that player could make a very large lateral movement towards the target and reprogram that low point to be more forward. I see that become a little less consistent, but if you're good at it, that's awesome. Now, what could we look for, or what could we improve in how our body moves to help our low point? Well, my preference is to get golfers, and not everybody, but most golfers that struggle with contact, to turn a little bit more centered, where their chest and their hips aren't sliding significantly away from the target. Some players think that sliding away from the target gives them more power, but in reality, if you're sacrificing where your low point is, it's just not worth it, okay? So in the backswing, if we could try to keep our nose on the ball, keep our right hip from rocking outside of our ankle socket, we would end up with a backswing that looks a little bit more like this. Now my low point, as I move slightly forward in transition, is again going to be programmed to be a couple inches in front of the ball, just like we want, okay? Problem number two that I see amateur golfers struggle with all the time is a lack of shaft lean at impact. That basically means that the handle or the grip is in front of the golf ball when we strike the ball. Now, if I were to take a golfer and have him have 0 degrees of shaft lean at impact, and then take the same golfer and add 15 degrees of shaft lean at impact, the golfer with more shaft lean would have the low point positioned more forward. They would also be able to increase the speed the ball comes off because they're taking their 7-iron of 36 degrees and they're de-lofting it 15 degrees, right? So that ball is going to come out faster with more speed. Now, what are reasons players don't deliver shaft lean? Well, there's a lot of them, but the most common one I see is a wide open club face in the downswing. So on the way down, their club face looks like this. Why does that cause no shaft lean? Well, if they were to come through and deliver shaft lean, you can see from this camera angle that the club face would A, be leading with the heel, so you'd shank a lot of shots, and B, it's pointed so far out to the right that you would hit it so far that it's a super unusable way to play, okay? So what that player has learned to do is close the club face by stalling the grip, making sure it doesn't move through impact, and getting an impact that looks like this. Now, the club face is pointed straight, but you can see I have no shaft lean and my low point has been compromised. So hopefully this helps you with your strike.